Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 140 based on novel. So let's start. As the people of the soul refining tribe slowly walked out, someone suddenly kneeled down, and soon, every tribe member kneeled down at the direction Wang Lin flew to. In their hearts, Wang Lin was the ancestor of the entire soul refining tribe. As long as he was there, the soul refining tribe would never be destroyed. Ouyang Hua also kneeled down. These past 4 years had flashed by in his mind. His cultivation had soared into the sky in these past 4 years, and all of this felt like a dream to him. Looking at the more than 5,000 tribe members behind him, the only word Ouyang Hua could use to describe his feelings toward Wang Lin was respect. Wang Lin walked away step by step and gradually disappeared from everyone's view, but no one stood up. 5 kilometers outside the soul refining sect, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and a golden-purple light flew out. It turned into a giant beast with a 30-foot wide body that was golden-purple in color, and its sharp mouth was very oppressive. It was the mosquito beast. It awakened half a year ago, so its strength has increased greatly. Right now even a normal soul formation cultivator would not be a match for it. Wang Lin calculated that the mosquito was about as strong as a peak late-stage soul formation cultivator. Aside from the golden spirit root, it also had to do with the bloodline of the beast. There was now a beast king aura slowly expanding from its golden-purple body. If one wasn't looking carefully, it would be very hard to detect this aura. According to ancient God 2-size memories, these beasts didn't live by themselves but lived in groups. If they lived in groups, then there must have been a leader. This beast was evolving in the direction of a leader. However, right now it was still far from being one. It has to be said that the mosquito horde from the memories was something even ancient God 2-size dreaded and avoided. After the mosquito beast appeared, it immediately let out a sharp roar. This roar echoed across the land and immediately caused 13 and Hu Pao's expressions to become pale. Clearly, with their cultivation, they couldn't withstand the piercing power of that roar. After letting out the roar, the mosquito beast landed next to Wang Lin and began rubbing him with its mouth like it was trying to please him. Wang Lin faintly smiled and rubbed the mosquito before jumping up and landing on its back. Then Wang Lin calmly said, "The two of you also come up." 13 clenched his teeth. He secretly thought that he couldn't disgrace himself before the ancestor and jumped up. When he landed, a cold aura entered directly through his feet. His body refining technique had no effect on this cold aura, so he felt his entire body become sore. If it wasn't for his determination, he would have already collapsed. After Hu Pao saw 13, he was naturally unwilling to fall behind and jumped up as well. When he landed, the cold aura invaded his body too. After barely being able to withstand the cold aura, Hu Pao bitterly smiled. He thought that the ancestor was indeed strong, because just a beast tamed by the ancestor was already this terrifying. After Wang Lin saw 13's and Hu Pao's performance, he smiled with a hint of admiration in his eyes. With a thought, the mosquito beast charged out as fast as lightning. Powerful winds immediately hit the three of them. The wind had no effect on Wang Lin, it actually made him feel very comfortable. As for 13 and Hu Pao, they felt like they were being hit by a powerful hurricane. If they lost focus for a moment, they would be blown far away. 13 let out a low roar as he quickly cycled all the demonic spiritual energy in his body to continuously activate the body refining technique to resist this wind. Hu Pao did the same as he closed his eyes and used the demonic spiritual energy in his body to resist the wind. This place was 15 million kilometers from ancient Demon City, so it was going to take the mosquito beast some time to get there. Wang Lin wasn't in a rush, so he didn't waste the celestial spiritual energy in his body to use the greater teleportation skill. As the mosquito beast rushed across the sky, every tribe it passed activated their protection formation. In their eyes, the mosquito was simply too strong. It was already creating sonic booms just by flying across the sky. The thunderous roars it let out made it seem like thunder was descending upon the earth, creating an overall very shocking scene. Before, when Wang Lin first entered the demon spirit land, he didn't know about the existence of the formations and tribes. The formations also had the ability to hide the people within, so he wasn't able to find anyone. However, now he had a certain understanding of the demon spirit land, so looking down now, he saw countless tribes. There were strong and weak, large and small ones, and the population varied greatly between the tribes. If my soul-refining tribe can unite all of the tribes in the demon spirit land, it will become a force that will even shock the 9 countries here. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. After 7 days, ancient demon city appeared in the distance. When they were 50 kilometers away from the city, Wang Lin put away the mosquito beast, and he, 13, and Hu Pao landed on the ground. 13 had a steady temperament. The farthest he had ever traveled in the past was just a few tens of thousands of kilometers away from his tribe, but now he was in a place that was 15 million kilometers away. Not even in his wildest dreams would he ever have imagined that he would one day come to this place. Still, he only allowed himself to feel a slight bit of excitement before quickly suppressing the feeling. His face was emotionless and his eyes were cold, not revealing the slightest hint of the emotions he was experiencing. His expression was similar to Wang Lin's. For years ago, he was not like this. His respect for Wang Lin made him unknowingly copy Wang Lin. This was one of the cities of the Sky Demon Country, Ancient Demon City. In the eyes of all those tribes, Ancient Demon City held the might of the heavens. It was a sacred place and was the dream of everyone. All of this might have had an effect on 13 before, but to him, Wang Lin was the might of the heavens, the tribe was his sacred land, and his dream was to obtain Wang Lin's recognition. As for Hu Pao, he still couldn't compare to 13. When he saw Ancient Demon City, he couldn't help but kneel down and silently worship it. After a bit, he quickly regained his senses. He then stood up and revealed an expression of shame. When he saw 13's cold expression without a trace of the excitement he felt he had lost. He took a deep breath, spat at Ancient Demon City, muttered a bit, and showed a clear look of disdain on his face. Wang Lin smiled at 13 and Hu Pao's actions, then he took a step and moved forward like a cloud of smoke. 13 and Hu Pao quickly followed. The 3 of them quickly crossed 50 kilometers and arrived before Ancient Demon City. Ancient Demon City was very large, so one couldn't see the end of it with one glance. Although it was the largest city Wang Lin had come across thus far, he had seen planets and nebulas. No matter how large the city was, it just couldn't compare. When entering the city, he didn't hide his celestial spiritual energy and was very calm. This was the northern gate, and with how many people were going in and out of the city, there were naturally guards stationed here. Wang Lin knew that in the cultivation world, everything relied on power and that it was not good to be too low-key. The line here was very long, and if he waited, it would take hours before he could enter. He simply bypassed the line and walked directly to the gate with 13 and Hu Pao following after him. Compared to Hu Pao's nervousness, 13's coldness made him look even more calm. Wang Lin suddenly approaching the gate caught the attention of the guards. All of these guards were demon soldiers under the general of the left wing of Ancient Demon City. All of their cultivation levels were equal to Cultivator's Foundation establishment stage, and in their eyes, Wang Lin was a normal savage without any demonic spiritual energy inside him. But 13 and Hu Pao, who were behind Wang Lin, were filled with demonic spiritual energy and should be at rank 3 or above. To have these kinds of people as his guards, Wang Lin became more mysterious in their eyes. However, just this wasn't enough for the guards to break the rules. When Wang Lin closed in, one of the soldiers wearing black armor stepped forward. He swung his spear to point at Wang Lin and coldly said, "Back away. Presumptuous." Without waiting for Wang Lin to speak, 13 stepped forward and threw a punch. In his mind, anyone who dared to disrespect Wang Lin was his enemy. He didn't hold back at all on this punch, and the giant demon clan's body refining method made his body as strong as metal. This punch was like a flying sword as it broke the sound barrier. Even the space around his punch bended as it rushed toward the demon soldier. That demon soldier's expression changed greatly. In his eyes, 13's punch came toward him like a meteor and contained a mysterious power within. He wanted to dodge, but he found something holding him in place. He felt like his entire body was underwater and his movement slowed down. But this person had been through many battles and was very experienced. He quickly moved his spear before his body and took a big step backwards. 13's fist landed on the spear. With a muffled bang, cracks appeared on the spear, then it turned to dust due to the force it was hit by. The demon soldier's face turned pale. Although the force restricting him had disappeared, he was forced back several steps and blood came out from the corner of his mouth. If it wasn't for the other demon soldiers catching him, he would have been injured much more seriously. However, even the people who caught him trembled and their faces turned pale. They had clearly been injured as well due to helping that soldier absorb some of the force of the punch. At this moment, the guards from inside and outside the city came out filled with killing intent and surrounded Wang Lin. Some guards had already reported this to the higher-ups. The people waiting to enter the city quickly scattered and prepared to watch a good show. Wang Lin said, in a serious tone, 13. 13 quickly walked up with a very respectful expression. Even if Wang Lin scolded him, he would have no complaints. Wang Lin's voice was low. That punch of yours was wrong. 13 quickly said, in 13's eyes, anyone who is disrespectful to ancestor is my enemy. Hu Pao silently pondered on the side. Earlier, he sort of regretted not rushing in like 13 did. However, when he saw Wang Lin's serious expression, he secretly let out a sigh of relief. He felt it was lucky he didn't act, because it would not be good to make the ancestor angry. Wang Lin shook his head and said, although you used all your strength on that punch, 40% of the power was lost. This means you haven't fully mastered it yet. How else could that demon soldier have withstood the blow? He wouldn't have any signs of life in him right now if you had done it correctly. 13 was startled, but he quickly nodded and began to ponder. At this moment, more than a dozen demon soldiers had gathered around Wang Lin. No one knew who, but one of them let out a roar and charged at them with his weapon. Outside the gate, demonic spiritual energy was being released, sand was kicked into the air, and a powerful killing intent appeared as the demon soldiers charged out. These demon soldiers were all veterans of war, so as long as the cultivation level difference wasn't too great, even those more powerful than them would be pressured by their fierce aura. Watch carefully. Although body refining is different from spells, there are still some similarities. Although I didn't refine body, my punch will have a similar effect. With that, Wang Lin formed a fist with his right hand and casually threw a punch. This punch hit the air, but soon a ripple began to spread out with his fist as the center. The demon soldiers rushing over immediately slowed down after being hit by the ripple. It was as if the air around them was being solidified. But soon, the ripple shook violently and all of the demon soldiers were knocked back at a speed 10 times faster than when they rushed over. As they were knocked back, their faces were pale and they all coughed out mouthfuls of blood. Wang Lin didn't withdraw his fist but opened it. All of the blood the demon soldiers coughed out didn't fall but gathered toward Wang Lin, and soon, a ball of blood formed before his hand. He pushed his right hand forward, causing the ball of blood to fly out like lightning at the city's wall. Just at the moment the ball of blood was about to land, a cold snort came from inside the gate. Shortly after, a red figure suddenly appeared outside the gate. This person pointed at the air, causing the ball of blood to suddenly collapse back into blood just before it hit the wall. Wang Lin's expression remained normal as he said, I'm surprised to meet someone who came from the same place as me. The red light disappeared to reveal a woman. After the woman appeared, the surrounding demon soldiers all kneeled down and said, Greetings, Commander Yao. Her eyes were bright like a phoenix and contained a hint of killing intent, and she was wearing all white. Her black hair flowed behind her back as she coldly looked at Wang Lin, frowned, and said, Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes faintly lit up and he carefully looked at her. He had seen this woman outside the East Demon Spirit Sea. This woman had an area all to herself, which made her quite eye-catching. This was the reason Wang Lin noticed her. This woman was at the late stage of soul transformation, and although she wasn't at the peak, she wasn't far away. It looks like quite a few people on planet Qian know my name. Wang Lin smiled and walked forward. With this one step, a ferocious aura suddenly appeared behind him and spread out like crazy. The white-robed woman coldly looked at Wang Lin, then she frowned, took a step back, and said, "So you are also in the Sky Demon country. You must have came to ancient demon city to gain military merit as well, so a battle between the two of us has no meaning." As she spoke, she turned around and walked into the city. Wang Lin faintly smiled as he walked through the city's gate. 13 and Hu Pao quickly followed. The white-robed woman's speed wasn't very fast. She didn't go directly into the city but toward a plaza, and in the plaza there was a giant transfer array. There were demon soldiers guarding the transfer array. When they saw the woman, they all kneeled down and were very respectful. Inside the transfer array, the woman turned around and coldly said to Wang Lin, "Follow me to meet the general of the left wing. In ancient demon city, only the demon general can give you a position." Wang Lin nodded and said to 13 and Hu Pao, "The two of you wait for me inside the city." With that, he entered the transfer array. At the moment he walked in, the transfer array activated, and Wang Lin and the woman disappeared in waves of white light. After a slight discomfort from being transported, Wang Lin returned to normal and looked around at where he had been teleported to. He immediately noticed a magnificent building that pierced into the sky. This was a giant palace, and there was a giant statue inside it that seemed to pierce into the heavens. It was a statue of a strong man wearing armor, and it was releasing a powerful demonic aura. The entire sky was being churned by this demonic aura, creating swirls in the clouds. The white-robed woman walked out of the transfer array and said, "Lord Demon General, I have brought the person here." Just as she finished speaking, a burst of hearty laughter came from inside the palace. Shortly after, a figure suddenly jumped down from the giant statue. This figure was extremely fast and quickly closed in before stopping in the sky. This person looked normal, but he gave off the aura of someone powerful. He was wearing a purple robe, his arms were extreme large, and he gave off a commanding aura just by standing there. His eyes lit up like a torch as he looked at Wang Lin and smiled. "So you are the foreigner that was attacking my demon soldiers outside the wall?" Wang Lin's pupils unnoticeably shrank. This person had his demonic spiritual energy completely withdrawn into his body, so a normal person wouldn't be able to notice. But with Wang Lin's cultivation, he could tell that this person was very powerful. The amount of demonic spiritual energy inside this person was few 100,000 ranks strong. If this person wasn't as powerful as an ascendant cultivator, he was very close. It has to be said that 3 stars equal 1 rank. 3 ranks equal foundation establishment, 30 ranks equal core formation, 300 ranks equal nascent soul, 3,000 ranks equal soul formation, 30,000 ranks equal soul transformation, and 300,000 ranks equal ascendant. Wang Lin raised his head. His expression remained calm and he seriously said, "It was." The burly man's eyes became serious and he let out a laugh. He stepped forward, threw a punch, and said, "Good. Then let this general see what kind of skill you have." This punch moved like lightning but strangely made no sound. Although it collided with the air, the force charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't reveal any shock on his face as he raised his right thumb and pressed it at the air. Finger of death. The white-robed woman's eyes lit up. The area 100 feet around Wang Lin became filled with death as if all the life in that area had been absorbed by the finger. At the moment he used the finger of death, there was a loud bang in the air between him and the burly man. Wang Lin was forced back 3 steps and his eyes became cold. He then looked at the burly man in the sky. The man withdrew his right fist and his body swayed a bit. His eyes were like lightning as he said, "Good, this general used gravity to get an advantage over you. With that finger, you are qualified to become an elder under me." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he said, "I don't want an inner position." The burly man's face became serious and then he smiled. "Your understanding of the demon spirit land is beyond my expectations. You know the difference between inner and outer positions." In Luo Yun's memories, his ancestor told him of the inner and outer positions. Elders and such were inner positions without any soldiers under them. Only those with outer positions, like commanders, had troops under their command. The demon emperor said that we can give you foreigners any position as long as you have the ability. Little fellow, if you want an outer position, then you need to bring out your true ability, and that finger wasn't strong enough. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he became focused and said, "You can continue." The burly man revealed a hint of admiration. He didn't waste any time as he threw a punch before quickly pulling his fist back to throw another punch. His speed was extremely fast, and in almost an instant, he threw 10 punches. The space around him began to show signs of collapsing, but the space here was very sturdy, so it didn't collapse after only 10 punches. If you can withstand my 10 collapsing battle intent, you can be a chief commander. The burly man let out a loud roar as his hand reached out. It was as if he had reached through the void, grabbed the collapsing space, and threw it at Wang Lin. This 10 collapsing battle intent wasn't corporeal, it was part of the void. It contained all of the demonic aura of the demon general's 10 punches and was filled with his intense killing intent. The 10 punches would cause space to collapse a total of 10 times, one with each punch. On the 10th collapse, the spell would become unimaginably powerful. This kind of spell was extremely rare even among the entire cultivation world. This was the first time Wang Lin had faced something like this. At almost the instant the 10 collapse battle intent started flying toward Wang Lin, he was able to see through it. His eyes suddenly lit up brightly, and with one step, he stood straight like a 10,000-year-old pine tree. He didn't use any magic treasures, but grey gas started moving on his right arm and the celestial slaughter art was used. At the same time, he pointed with his index and used the demonic finger spell. The celestial spiritual energy inside his body quickly turned into demonic spiritual energy and condensed on his index finger. Of the 3 killing spells, the first 2, Finger of Death and Demonic Finger, were often used by Wang Lin. Their power wasn't enough to threaten ascendant cultivators and could only be used to suppress soul transformation cultivators. But when Sichu Nan used the Finger of Death and Demonic Finger, their power was shocking, even ascendant cultivators would be killed by them. Aside from the difference in cultivation levels between Wang Lin and Sichu Nan, there were also the essences of the Finger of Death and Demonic Finger. These 3 killing spells were created by Sichu Nan, so of course they were of demonic nature. Unless one had a demonic heart, it would be impossible to learn the essences. And Wang Lin's Dao was very different from Sichu Nan's Dao. Thus, when Wang Lin used these 2 spells, they lacked change and flexibility. In truth, there were follow-up spells to these 2 spells, but because Sichu Na noticed their differences, he didn't teach them to Wang Lin. It wasn't him being stingy, but with the passage of time, there would be a high chance of Wang Lin's Dao being changed. The final spell of the 3 killing spells, the Underworld Finger, was far more powerful than the other 2, and its power was extremely close to a low-quality celestial spell. When Sichu Nan taught it to Wang Lin, he was very worried. The reason he was so worried was not only because the spell was powerful enough to threaten ascendant cultivators, but also because if Wang Lin used it too much, it would affect his Dao heart and slowly bring him down to the demonic path. The final spell was different from the other 2 spells. Without the follow-up spells, Wang Lin could use them as much as he wanted without affecting his Dao heart. But the 3rd spell was different. There wasn't a follow-up spell, and all of the power was just in the spell itself. Sichu Nan told Wang Lin all of this before, and this is why in all these years, Wang Lin only used it once in the battle against the Purple Division's 6th brother, Chen Dao. Among the 3 killing spells, the last spell was the true killing spell. The 10 collapse battle intent was created in the void and was part of the heavens. It was incorporeal, and it was a punch that contained the demon general's full strength. His fist intent was so powerful that it could pierce through the void and kill someone. At the moment Wang Lin stuck out his index finger, the celestial spiritual energy in his body moved like crazy, then it turned into demonic spiritual energy and gathered at the tip of his finger. In almost an instant, his finger was surrounded by a dense, black light that not even sunlight could pierce. This kind of black was pure demonic spiritual energy. At the moment Wang Lin's index finger pointed up, he felt the monstrous fist intent in the air, and at this moment, the first collapse arrived. It was as if the entire sky was collapsing and the center point was Wang Lin. A destructive aura quickly came from all directions and landed on Wang Lin's body. The black light shined brightly and the celestial spiritual energy in his body cycled like crazy. Suddenly, the black light on his index finger expanded to cover his entire body. A heaven-shaking sound echoed across the entire ancient demon city. Wang Lin's face turned pale, and he was knocked back several steps before he could stabilize his body. His right index finger trembled slightly and was completely numb. The destructive force that landed on his body quickly withdrew like the tides, but then it quickly charged back at him with force 10 times stronger than before. The second collapse arrived. The second collapse's speed was several times faster than the first one's, and it came from all directions almost an instant after it. Wang Lin's right index finger was still trembling. The power of the demonic finger could only help him withstand the first collapse. This is definitely not a spell a soul transformation cultivator can use. Even among ascendant cultivators, only 1 out of every 10 can use this kind of spell. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. The power of the second collapse was 10 times greater than the power of the first collapse. At this moment, the sky within 10,000 feet darkened as if there was a sandstorm going on. Even the never-ending swirl above the palace was affected. Wang Lin let out a low roar, then 2 strands of grey gas appeared on his hand and moved like 2 dragons. At this moment, he used the celestial slaughter art without any hesitation. The 2 strands of grey gas charged out and broke through the sonic barrier, but they immediately met the power of the second collapse. The power of the second collapse was very powerful. Following a series of rumbling sounds, the 2 strands of grey gas weren't destroyed. Instead, they collapsed to form a vortex with Wang Lin as the center. The power of the second collapse landed on the grey gas and quickly weakened. At the same time, killing intent quickly came out from the grey vortex. This killing intent was very shocking, and it gave people the feeling that it could kill celestials and rulers. The killing intent forcibly opened a bloody path through the power of the second collapse. It used its heaven-shaking killing intent to force the power of the second collapse back. At the same time, Wang Lin took a step and charged forward like a meteor. At the same time that his right hand reached out, the grey vortex suddenly dissipated, turning back into 2 strands of grey gas in Wang Lin's right hand. Condense. With a roar, the 2 strands of grey gas quickly condensed into a 7-inch-long sword in Wang Lin's hand. With the sword in hand, Wang Lin's body gave off a shocking killing intent. At this moment, Wang Lin seemed to have become a different person. There was no longer the air of a celestial around him, it was replaced by killing intent. At this moment, he was like a demon of slaughter. He held a slaughtering sword and stepped into the void toward the general of the left wing. The general of the left wing exclaimed, then his eyes lit up and he said, "Good. You are one of the few people that decided to attack during my 10 collapse battle intent. Let's see if you can break past the next 8 collapses and arrive before me." At this moment, the white-robed woman, the daughter of blood ancestor Yao Shishu, was still standing in the distance, slightly frowning. When she arrived at ancient demon city 3 years ago, she was defeated by this spell. This spell was extremely tyrannical, and with her cultivation, she almost failed on the 4th collapse. If it wasn't for the blood spell her father taught her, she wouldn't have been able to withstand the 5th collapse. Even so, she finally lost on the 8th collapse. However, the general of the left wing was hard to read, he gave her the title of commander. There weren't many commanders, a total of 16. Wang Lin revealed his path of slaughter as he charged at the demon general with the sword. However, there were still 8 collapses between him and the demon general. The 3rd collapse had 10 times the power of the 2nd collapse. It silently pressed down on Wang Lin from all directions as if countless mountains were crashing into him. Wang Lin's eyes became red and his killing intent thickened. In the face of this 3rd collapse, he had no urge to back down and instead was filled with the urge to battle. With the slaughter sword in hand, he shouted, "Break for me, 3rd collapse." The slaughter sword gave off a never-before-seen grey light. This grey light extended for more than 10 feet and surrounded Wang Lin, then he charged through like a meteor. The power of the single sword could shock the heavens and vanquish supernatural beings. The 3rd collapse that came from the void was forcibly cut open, allowing Wang Lin to pierce through and charge directly at the demon general. The general of the left wing's eyes lit up even more and he smiled. Good. Just as Wang Lin charged out, the 4th collapse arrived. The later the collapse, the faster the next one arrives, and their power was also much stronger. At this moment, the fourth collapse was 1,000 times stronger than the first one. This kind of power was not something normal soul transformation cultivators could resist. The appearance of the fourth collapse immediately caused the sky to change color. Even the swirl above the palace began to twist as if it couldn't withstand the fourth collapse's power. The fourth collapse rushed at Wang Lin, and the killing force Wang Lin created with the sword immediately collapsed. This fourth collapse with power 1,000 times greater than the first collapse was impossible to resist unless one reached the late stage of soul transformation. Wang Lin's body split from the slaughter sword, and at the same time, the power of the fourth collapse came at him like an avalanche. If the fourth collapse was the raging waves, then Wang Lin would be the lone boat on the sea. Wang Lin's face was extremely pale, and he couldn't help but stop his charge. Right now his body was being squeezed by a very violent force. He could feel that he couldn't withstand this fourth collapse with his own power. If he had more of the grey gas, he might have been able to break through. However, in these 4 years, although he had killed many, the celestial slaughter art was very difficult to succeed with. Aside from the celestial slaughter art, he should be able to break through with the underworld finger. However, the underworld finger was his true ace, and in this dangerous demon spirit land, he wasn't willing to easily reveal his true strength. At this moment, Wang Lin revealed a determined look as he let go of the slaughter sword, which then broke down back into 2 strands of grey gas. Then it quickly entered his body through his arm, and 2 symbols quickly appeared on his forehead. The 2 symbols then spread across his body to form the defense of 2 life force seals. Just at this moment, the fourth collapse arrived. The power of a natural disaster, the power that was 1,000 times greater than the first, arrived. At this moment Wang Lin clearly felt the fist intent from the fourth collapse. Inside the fist intent lied a type of faith. Faith. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly lit up. This light had rarely appeared in Wang Lin's eyes in these past several hundred years. It was just like Zhu Yi, who suddenly gained enlightenment when his soul was burning. This video will end here.